Thank you, Bluech1ps Investment. So we'll now start the questions for the judges.
Could you discuss a little bit more about the current issues faced by the company with respect to some regulatory issues such as power rate hike and how that might impact on your valuation?
Thank you very much for that question. So when it comes to the power rate hike, we must understand that the circumstances which have caused it are actually beyond the control of the company. First, there were unscheduled maintenance shutdowns, and second, there was a limited energy supply. So in effect, Meralco had to purchase from WASM at much higher prices, and this has led to increased electricity charges that are passed on to consumers, and that is why they're facing TRO on the power rate hike.
The current political climate seems unfavorable to Meralco and could undermine the average retail tariff rate as to be set by the publicly pressured Energy Regulatory Commission. But with our conservative average retail tariff rate of 1 peso and 54 centavos per kilowatt hour and 8.66% regulatory WACC, our valuation remains solid by recommendation for Meralco.
Can you comment a bit about management and give me some idea of why you believe they're able to execute their plans accordingly? They're growing in different areas such as international expansion. They're building power generating plants. How does that all fit into their current capabilities?
Thank you very much for the question, sir. So when it comes to the management, we believe that the management of Meralco is actually very good. They are very proactive in that they do not rely solely on their core distribution business, but they are also into the subsidiaries which are complementary to their core distribution business. So for instance, they ventured into power generation, which is actually needed in our country right now because of limited energy supply. And in addition, the recent investment of JG Summit in Meralco is favorable for the company because we have noticed that JG Summit is also into energy projects, and their investment in Meralco is just another good thing that they have a shared goal of the investment in energy because it is needed by the country and it would fuel our economy.
In addition, the management's governance is also founded in integrity and accountability, which promotes the company's competencies, especially the core distribution business of the company, as well as its expansion in the generation arm. It has also, the company also continues to develop its subsidiaries that will cater the growing demands of the customers of Meralco.
You're all familiar with the tapering that's going on in the U.S. now, with the Fed, which basically means interest rates all over the world will be rising. I don't remember what your assumption on the interest rate you use for your valuation, but I guess my question is, does your valuation take into account the expected rise in interest rates? And if not, how would, let's say, 100 or 200 basis points rise in, let's say, the 10-year government bond rate affect the valuation of your valuation of Meralco?
Thank you for that question, sir. So we have already incorporated the changes in the interest rates in our valuation. So it has been projected that there will be an increase in the interest rates for the current year. However, we have already incorporated such the risks associated with it in our valuation.
We have also conducted a sensitivity analysis, sir, considering the risk, for example, in the operation and also in the regulation, as well as the execution of the company's plan, and still we uphold Meralco's bar recommendation. And considering about the tapering in the U.S. government, we believe that though the U.S. government would slowly decrease their bond investment in the Philippines, the Philippine economy would still be favorable for Meralco because the Philippine GDP is not so dependent on investments but rather on consumption. And so with this, the favorable economy for Meralco would strengthen its foundations for its growth.
You are assuming that the tariff will be around 1 peso 50 something, is that correct? And the regulatory return will be around 8.6. Basically, so are you basically assuming that these are going down from where they are today? Is that correct? What is the basis for you using 8.6 something? 1 peso 50 per kilowatt hour.
Thank you for that question, sir. So in computing our tariff, we consider the operating expenses, the depreciation based on the company's regulatory asset base, as well as the return on capital. We have also projected the WACC for the next regulatory period. So in considering the operating expenses and the capital expenses, we have considered the changes in interest rates, sales volume, as well as Meralco's announced projects.
Also, in relation to our estimate of the industry WACC, we use the factors used by ERC in their previous rate reset and adjusted it based on the changes in interest rates for the next years. And so we arrived at an industry WACC of 8.66%. Our average tariff rate of 1.5408 pesos per kilowatt hour is lower than the current tariff rate of around 1.6333 pesos per kilowatt hour. However, this effect on Meralco would be mitigated because of the rise in Meralco sales volume, and so even with the decrease in Meralco's tariff rate, the growth of Meralco would still be sustained.
I'd like to touch on regulatory risk again, but not the burning issue that you discussed. Tell me about the risk that the regulator might actually say 150 is too rich. I want that to be a lot lower because of populist demands. I don't know if you're aware that Manila Water has an ongoing fight today. Now, it remains to be seen how that plays out, but arguably you can speculate that distribution company might also be affected, and all the other players in regulated industries for that matter. How does Meralco, or in your analysis, do you see a point where a certain amount of kilowatt hour charge tariff will wipe them out, or basically put them in a losing position? What number is that in your analysis?
Thank you very much for that question, sir. So actually, when it comes to the power rate hike, there was a TRO, and so Meralco is not yet sure if it can collect the generation charges that it must pay the generation company. So in effect, what they have to do is to borrow funds, and in borrowing these funds, they also have to pay interest, and that would mean higher financing, higher payments for Meralco.
In addition to that, because Meralco is the country's largest power distributor, and also Meralco's services, the services provided by Meralco is essential to the needs of the people. So basically, we foresee that there is no limit as to the number of kilowatt hours that would lead Meralco to its loss. Because as what I have already said, the company is supplying the basic needs of the people, and the company sees to it that it is one with the development of the country and one with the people.
we just revisit, what was your PE ratio assumption currently?
Currently, Meralco has a PE ratio of 18.90.
18. And then prospectively?
Prospectively, currently, the PE ratio of Meralco stays below the 20%, with 20 times, which is relatively lower than the peer average.
Okay. But some would argue that
Time's up.